Okay, Destiny Rising is out. If you remember, this is the game from NetEase. It is out globally. It is based, of course, on Bungie's fabled franchise, which we have yet to hear much about in the wake of Marathon. And so what is going on with this game? What is happening? So I think the first thing you had to do to kind of really understand where this game is at is to figure out where the US shooter market is. And that means pulling the top games from Sensor Tower. And so we're looking at that chart right now. And as you can see in the US gaming market, shooters are irrelevant except for Call of Duty. So very quick analysis. This game is irrelevant to the West, which is why they ship it out to NetEase. Call of Duty Mobile, just as a quick refresher, has 7 million MAU in the United States. And the next game is Delta Force at 950. And I'm sure that's still on fumes from the initial launch. And everything else is basically just hyper-casual trash, except for number 9, which is Warframe, which, if you remember, was another dual SKU product and is also irrelevant because HT Studios don't know how to do user acquisition. So then the question is, like, why is this game relevant? Why would you go out and make this? Well, the answer is very simple. China loves mobile shooters. In fact, they love shooters
more than Germany?
Potentially. And so shooters on mobile in China have been on an absolute tear. If you remember, PUBG Mobile is one of the biggest games in the world, really run out of China by Tencent. Delta Force has had a enormous level of success in China. It's hard to understate. It is hard to get good numbers, by the way. Again, I want to do our usual asterisk that when we're looking at China numbers, we're only looking at iOS, which does not paint the whole picture even in the slightest. Nico Partners does a lot of further analysis on a lot of these numbers. You can see there's usually pretty big gaps, but we do the best we can. If we do launch over launch comparisons in China on iOS between these top shooters, looking at Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, Delta Force, there's also Valorant Mobile. Remember, we were talking about that last week, which is another big launch. You can also compare it to Destiny Rising, and we can see how these games stack up. Well, Call of Duty Mobile has been in a league of its own. I just want to say this is one of the biggest launches of all time, and I don't think we did enough analysis on it. 80 million downloads after 1 month in China on iOS alone. PUBG Mobile was at 23 million, Delta Force at 12, Valorant at 5, which seems very low to me, especially I think they reported around 70 million pre-registrations. Pre-registration is just complete bullshit. Bullshit number, by the way. This has basically become wish lists. People are just pumping up these numbers. And Destiny Rising is in last with 900,000 downloads. Again, it's just one small, part of the picture, but I think this at least gives you a sense of the level of capital that's being invested. Now, Tencent did come out and say they're investing a shit ton of money into Valorant Mobile, which I think is a very smart play. If you remember Crossfire, right? The Chinese knockoff of CSGO, which has kind of become its own thing, its own IP, still is really successful on HD and mobile in China. And so I think this is Valorant's attempt to go after the same thing they did in the US market, which was Counter-Strike Go. And remember, they didn't really take market share from Counter-Strike Go. They increased the share of the pie. And so I'm really curious if they'll do the same here. But so far, I don't know. It just feels kind of lackluster.
On your first chart, when you talk shooters, do you count the BR games, Battle Royale games? Like, so yes. Fortnite.
Knives Out.
Knives Out, Free Fire. I mean, I just didn't see any of those, which are
again, this is US.
At the top of
Remember, this is US. Those games are usually big. Okay. Like, Garena Free Fire is really big in LATAM. Although they had a huge Shippuden crossover, Naruto Shippuden crossover. I mean, that was another collab we didn't cover that we should probably talk about next week. That was an enormous success. And only that, you got to remember Brazil has a small Japanese population. I mean, there's a million things we talk about. They love anime.
Where's PUBG on this list, though?
Yeah, I thought like PUBG, even though it's US, I thought they still ranked pretty high.
This is by DAU.
Oh, by DAU. All right. Well, and Fortnite's back. Maybe it just hasn't come back enough yet. Is that because it's still
in the US
difficult?
It won't be here in the US.
Could have been how it's categorized on Sensor Tower. We can do a double check.
Okay. I'm just curious.
So this is first person versus third person is also another disambiguation that can happen here. We're looking at first person. Although Warframe doesn't really count. There's a lot we could go over with some of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have downloaded the game. It is absolutely visually stunning. Like, it is insane. Yeah. And actually, the gameplay is really good. Like, for a shooter, it's auto fire. I mean, if you choose to, I'll be honest, I only played like the first 30 minutes, so I didn't get into it. All I really wanted to do was download it on PC and play it with keyboard mouse. I was like, I love Destiny, dude. I'm a huge, huge fan. I just don't think there's a market for this in the West, and I think I agree with your assessment that if it does well, it's going to do well in the East, and so far, it's not doing anything. It almost feels like they put this out to die. Like, they did not support this the same way they have other shooters in the past and other releases. So I'm not really quite sure what is going on this one. but the amount of money and effort and time and manpower to make something like this is insane, right? The fidelity is insane. I mean, it is crazy. So, God, I love Destiny. I wish they were doing better in terms of execution, but yeah, I don't know.
Bungie and Sony wouldn't carve out minimum guarantees?
An MG overall or marketing spend?
Minimum marketing spend for a game like this.
Typically, there would be a marketing spend commitment. People are hearing about it. I mean, when I talk to people, people are talking about. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a little bit of a buzz. And I don't know. I looked at Sensor Tower after 4 days, which is nothing, right? But it was only 840K downloads. And I did see, Cress, however, 2.3 million in revenue in 4 days. I was like,
yeah, but
I know it's so difficult when a game first launches for those numbers to be solid. So you agree, it's too early. You know, Phil, to your point, a 10 million pre-reg, which in today's world, pre-reg, actually, I haven't been seeing as many people pump pre-reg like the Squad Buster year, like when was that, 2024, 2023, when it was like 40 million pre-reg. And we all know that between, only 10 to 20% of those actually download when you get there.
Let me take a step back. When we talked about the Call of Duty mobile launch, because we were like really on top of that because we're covering it on the podcast, they spent a fucking gajillion dollars on this game launch. And they had no monetization in this game. Like, absolutely none. Like, the numbers were fucking pathetic, right? And they put it in later, right? That is an example of an Asian launch in which they're super supporting it, bringing the audience in. They'll come and pay later when we add a bunch of shit, right? Like that's what happened with Call of Duty, and it fucking worked. And I was goddamn dead wrong on that one, right? Because I was seeing the early numbers. I'm like, this is terrible, right? This is the exact opposite. They are not supporting this thing at all. The only downloads they're getting are from fucking people that love Destiny. The pre-reg people, the people that are fans of Destiny. And that's probably why you see the revenue numbers are a little bit higher than the downloads, and the RPIs look good. But this is a pathetic number in terms of downloads. And that number is relatively accurate because you're comparing it against companies that they have. So this feels like they're leaving it to die, right? Like, they just want to get this thing out. It's like part of their divestiture out of like all the games that are being built in the West for the West type thing.
Yeah.
This was built in the West? Are you sure about this?
No. I mean, sorry. They're divesting a lot of the deals that they have put in place over the years, unwinding all the work from a NetEase perspective. So you're right. This definitely built in the East, but they probably want that team to be focused on other things.
Chris, is this a case where, so Call of Duty was 2019, I think. I was at Riot when that launched, and we were planning to launch all of our Riot mobile games, and we're like, holy shit, how much did they just spend? And it was difficult to look at what they were spending versus what I had in my pocketbook. But in this case, we've talked many times that the way to launch a game is different now, that it's slow and steady wins the race, that you have to make sure you don't have a leaky bucket, that you are going to kind of grow over time, and you're not going to launch huge. And I don't know, the Asian games, the Chinese games launch like that anymore. Are we just seeing a new kind of launch? Maybe that's what's going on.
Blaze it, baby. Nah, I think this is Blaze it. I don't know if this is a new launch strategy. I mean, Scopely was doing soft launch, get the KPIs right into mega, ultra, mega, numero uno. It is true. Like
different.
It is different, but I think it's important to point out why it's different is that people are going global much earlier. Like All in Whole is a really great example where it was launched in the United States in a more immature form, and then it grew over time. We're going global in launching things over time rather than keeping them gated in soft launch.
So with Scopely, I mean, it's a very different strategy. It was soft launch, but then when it decided to go US, it was huge. Like, it was all guns blazing to hit number one. What I'm saying is people aren't seemingly doing that anymore, where even when they launch in the US, now let's put Squad Busters and everything else aside, you are Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go was slow and steady wins the race, right? Which is, we're going to soft launch it. We're going to make sure the KPIs are good. Now we're going to incrementally launch each country. I didn't look back at, what the beta or the soft launches were for Destiny Rising, but maybe this is what we just need to come back and check in on is, are we seeing a new way that games are launching and that we are seeing slow and steady versus pop and drop? Just a thought. All right.
But the last thing that I'm surprised that Philip didn't mention is that the monetization design on this thing is fucking insane, like pay to win stuff. Like, it is actually really egregious, It's like,
it's NetEase, right? So to be expected.
I know. It's ironic because like fucking the Destiny guys, the Bungie guys are terrible at monetization, right? They don't know how to monetization save their lives. It's all they are doing is expansion model, really. Like the monetization in that game is all cosmetic bullshit, right? This game is like insanely designed. And what my biggest worry is that the Destiny guys, the takeaway from this is that, oh no, this game didn't succeed because of all the gross monetization things. And that's they're going to influence how they build the next Destiny, you know. But
Adam is screaming at you right now from somewhere in podcast
dude,
land.
this is the way
Chris
the game should be designed. Like, dude, this is the way they should be building Destiny, dude. Like, anyway, whatever. Actually, this one's interesting. I'm going to keep looking at it. I hope I'm wrong. I think the game is amazing. I just don't think there's an audience for this type of game in the West. So,
got it. Yeah, I think, you know, Phil, if you're on Shooter Watch, you know, Val Mobile in China, this one from a mobile perspective, and then obviously you've got your PC console Shooter Watch. You're gonna be a busy dude the next few months.